Joy friends, welcome to Once Upon a Storybook. My name is Cynthia with Cynthia's Joyful Creations, and today we're going to look at another angel story from the book In the Arms of Angels. These are true stories of heavenly guardians by the author Joan Wester Anderson, and today's story is titled Dream On. I had the most wonderful message from God last night, a woman told a friend. But it wasn't true. It was just a dream. Just a dream. True. Dreams are a way of sorting out our unconscious dead wood or releasing daily tension. But God also uses dreams and visions to communicate with His children. The Bible mentions at least 70 events involving dreams or visions. Consider Joseph, Jesus' human father, who appears to have been led completely by angelic messages and dreams. In a more modern scenario, at least 2 of the Pennsylvania coal miners trapped underground in July 2002 recall seeing not only glowing lights but also a vision of a beautiful town lying under a starry sky. The scene brought them comfort and somehow reassured them that they would indeed be rescued. Discernment is always necessary, but we should pay attention to dreams or visions that seem compelling in some way. Krista Piazza knows this well. Krista, now of House Springs, Missouri, attended a Lutheran school through 8th grade, and her faith was a very important part of her life. I especially believed in the power of prayer. As a teenager, her church attendance slipped a little, like that of most of her peers, but she continued talking to God and reading her Bible. At 17, Krista underwent surgery. A year later, caught up in an abusive relationship, she became pregnant. Because of the surgery's effects, she miscarried at 4 months. Perhaps this loss was a wake-up call for Krista. She ended the relationship and rededicated her life to God. Her prayer became more focused, too. God, give me a stronger spiritual life, she prayed. Bless me with health and with someone worthwhile to love. She believed that anyone's life could be changed. Not all at once, but one step at a time. Each step small, but important. One day she attended her niece's birthday party, and one of the guests, Gaetano Piazza, caught her eye. He was the answer to my prayers, she relates. We married, and I realized more each day how blessed I was. My only remaining hope was to have a child. The couple was overjoyed when she became pregnant, but Krista miscarried. She and Gaetano grieved deeply, but Gaetano refused to let either of them become discouraged. Their gracious God would surely hear this most important request. Hope blossomed again during yet another pregnancy. Everything progressed normally until the 5th month. For the third time, Krista grieved the death of a baby. I was devastated, she says. This was the most painful time I'd ever experienced. Was she being punished for something? No. The God whom Krista had always known was a loving, forgiving God, and she had come to Him with the confidence of a child. She would not understand His plan right now, but she knew that His timing was always perfect. She would continue to pray. In April of 1993, Krista realized she was again pregnant. She was due in January. She and Gaetano held their breath as each week passed. I was a little paranoid, Krista admits, especially as I approached the 5th month. This time in the pregnancy when I had lost my baby. Would the same thing happen again? How could she bear it? Lord, I am so scared, she prayed one night. Please let me know that whatever happens, you are with me. Send me a little sign, if it is your will. That night, Krista had a dream. She saw herself giving birth to a child. It was a perfect, healthy girl, a beautiful girl, and Krista could see the infant clearly. Her daughter had pale skin, a round, chubby face, and a full head of black hair. All will be well, someone in the dream was reassuring Krista. Rest and be at peace. Was it the voice of her child's guardian angel? Krista was ecstatic and overjoyed during the dream, and she awakened feeling the same way. Krista told Gaetano about the dream that morning, and Gaetano was pleased to see the positive change in his wife, but he wondered What was so unusual? It was normal for pregnant women to have dreams about babies, was it not? It was, Krista agreed, but such a specific baby, and how could she explain the amazing sense of peace that had flooded her spirit, banishing all her anxiety as she heard those reassuring words? Could an ordinary dream have this effect? Krista sailed serenely through the next several weeks, even more at ease when an ultrasound revealed that the baby was indeed a girl. I loved feeling her inside me as if I knew her already, with her round, sweet face and black hair. On Christmas Eve, as she put final touches on decorations, Krista sent a grateful prayer heavenward. Christmas was her favorite time of year, and this Christmas she had already received the most beautiful gift of her life. In less than a month, their daughter would be here, and what could go wrong at this late date? But God had another surprise in store. For a few hours later, Krista awakened feeling odd. Could she be in labor? After waiting a while, Krista phoned the doctor and was told to come to the hospital. It was snowing, and a nervous Gaetano drove the dark streets as carefully as possible. He was as awed as she. A baby, their baby, on this most holy of days? Christmas carols were playing in the labor room, and I remember praising Jesus and wishing him a happy birthday again and again, Krista says. But it wasn't until nurses laid the infant in her arms that she realized the full extent of God's faithfulness. I knew her right away, Krista says. She had fair skin, a round little face, and a full head of black hair. She was the baby in my dream, the one the angel was protecting. The Piazzas named their daughter Bianca Noel Angel, which means White Christmas Angel in Italian. It had been an apt name, for Bianca seems to understand that there are companions in her world. Once when she was a toddler, she climbed onto the lowest drawer of the dresser in her room, attempting to reach the television and VCR sitting on top of it. Working in the kitchen, Krista heard a crash and came running. Although this situation can lead to severe injuries, and although the TV and VCR were both broken and the dresser laying on the floor, Bianca had completely avoided the crash. She was standing upright without a scratch. On another occasion, as Gaetano and Krista finished prayers and were tucking Bianca into bed, the little girl pointed. "Mommy, see the little lights?" Krista looked. The room was dim. "Where, honey?" "There, Mommy, and there." Bianca's face was joyful and excited as she pointed to little sparkles, presumably dancing around the room. It was almost as if she recognized the lights from a long time ago. "This has happened several times," Krista says. "Although I never seen the lights, they make me feel comforted and cared for because I have always asked God to let his angels look after Bianca, and I believe he does." We're now going to look at another angel story under the title Dream On. While some dreams are intensely personal, others require that the dreamer become a messenger for someone else, if he or she chooses to accept the heavenly assignment. On a few occasions, Amy Bates of Chesterfield, Missouri, has had such an experience dreaming about an event that later happened. Often, she has a tingling sensation or a pounding heart, clues that encourage her to take the message seriously. One night in spring of 2003, Amy went to bed early, worn out from a non-stop schedule and caring for 3 children and a family business. I'd been asleep for a while when I began dreaming about an acquaintance. Her name was Barbara. That in itself was strange because Barbara wasn't really a friend of mine. The two barely knew each other's names, but for the past several years they had occasionally met at grade school committee meetings or across a soccer field, just 2 faces in a crowd. We'd say hi or wave, and that would be it. Of all the people I could imagine dreaming about, she would be the last. The dream was fairly intense. There were no clouds, no fearful monsters, no familiar people, or even a storyline, however ambiguous. Instead, a voice was talking to Amy in a rather urgent tone. Within the dream, Amy tried to follow the voice. Apparently, there was a problem concerning Barbara. Amy couldn't get hold of it at first. Then suddenly the message was clear. "You were to call Barbara and tell her to go to her gynecologist," the dream voice told Amy. "She must go right away." Amy awoke. The dream still seemed very near, and she was puzzled. Had she heard the message correctly? And if she had, how could she do this? Call someone she barely knew and speak to her about a very personal matter, perhaps even alarm her? Amy shrank from such a task. If this was an angel, why hadn't he just spoken directly to Barbara? And just how would Barbara react when Amy told her about it? Would she spread the word that Amy was a bit strange? Yes, Amy could sense that tingling, the feeling that often accompanies these urges for her. I thought about it again and again that night. It didn't make sense, but if there was a small chance that this request had come from God, how could I say no? The following morning, as Amy prepared breakfast, she watched the clock. 7:30. Was it too early to call? Finally, when Amy calculated that the junior high bus had probably left Barbara's house, she phoned. "It's Amy Bates," she said when Barbara answered. "I don't know if you remember me. We were on a school committee a few years ago." "Oh," Barbara says, "if you want me to be on another committee." "No," Amy said, I want you to listen for just a moment." Tentatively, she explained the dream she had had and repeated the instructions sent to Barbara through her. For a moment, both women were silent. What was Barbara thinking? Amy half expected her to hang up. But Barbara didn't. "You know, this is strange," she mused. "Not too many people know that both my husband and I have been out of work for a while. We have no medical insurance right now, so we've cut back on checkups. I'm way overdue at the gynecologist." "Maybe this is important," Amy said. "Maybe. I think I'm going to borrow the money from my mother and make an appointment. Thanks, Amy." Surprised and relieved, Amy hung up. It had gone far better than she had hoped. And if Barbara turned out to be healthy after all, well, that was really good to know too. A month or so later, the two bumped into each other again at a school band concert. Barbara grabbed Amy's hand and steered her to a private section of the theater lobby. "I had the exam," she said. "They found cancer cells." Amy gasped. "Oh, no." "But I've had treatment, Amy, and I was retested this week, and everything is looking good. I'm well." "You are?" Amy could hardly take it in. Barbara's physician had told her that if she had waited even a few months, the outcome might have been critical. But she had received help in time. "If it hadn't been for you, Amy," Barbara said now, tears brimming, "I might not have seen my children grow up." It wasn't me, Amy wanted to say. She had no knowledge of her own. But again she remembered the shivers, the insistent voice, and the command that she wouldn't have considered breaking, and gave thanks. Well, thank you for joining me for this angel story. I hope that you enjoyed both of these stories that we shared today, and we will come back again next week for another angel story. And until then, be joyful, everyone, and have a great week. Bye.